What's up, everyone? I'm Colby Cheese, and once again, I have been playing a Leap Slam Templar, but this is version 2.0, and this one is like way better than the last guy that I made. So last guy, you actually saw me die while making a video for you, and I was like, well, shit. So I decided that I would go ahead and come up with a new build that incorporated some things that I had been learning from playing other characters and stuff like that, such as from the Elemental Cleave Templar and things like that. So with the Elemental Cleave Templar, he's doing a lot of magic damage. So if I want to get any kind of life leech or mana leech to sustain myself, then I'm going to have to actually use gems to do so. However, with a physical damage build, such as the one I'm doing here, I can actually forego having a mana or life leech gem, and instead I can use the life leech and mana leech from items that actually give the leech from physical attacks, and I can socket everything that I've got into just damage and utility or whatever else that I want to do. Right now I'm running with a 4-link. This is actually my first time in Western Forest. This is a level 57 zone, I believe, and Merciless, and I am level 59 right now. So what I've done is I've actually started to put things like Warlord's Mark on the enemies, and also I've picked up items that have some mana or life leech on them, and that's allowed me to sustain myself. A lot of people, when they pick up a melee build such as Leap Slam or Ground Slam or anything like that, you'll notice that they generally will go for Ground Slam, and for blood magic. And I actually don't like doing this because while you can do some auras, such as anger and wrath and things that don't do a percentage of your life, I still don't like to reserve my life for the auras. So what I've done instead is I've decided to go ahead and stick with mana, and I have enough mana leech. All I need is 2%, and since I do so much damage from my abilities, that amount is plenty in order to keep my mana up and sustain. So right now I'm running Hatred, which is an amazing ability which you can never run if you're doing a blood magic build because it reserves your health. But since I can actually now reserve my mana instead, Hatred, which gives so much extra benefit to your character, will now work with this Leap Slam build. So I'm doing tons of extra cold damage, an extra percentage based on my physical damage, and I'm also running some haste because the way Leap Slam works is it's got a set attack speed of, I believe, 1.2, and it's not affected by your weapon. However, you can increase the speed of your Leap Slam by giving your character attack speed externally. So attack speed from rings, from gloves, and from your passive tree, as well as, in this case, from haste, is all going to affect how fast you can actually Leap Slam. And so that's directly gonna benefit your damage. Another great thing about Leap Slam is that you can just have a really slow weapon, which in this case I'm using a Karuri Maul, which is a 0.95 attack speed, and it's going to do just as much damage as any other mace. You pretty much just want a weapon with a very high amount of low and high end damage. So that's what I've gone for here, and it's very effective. So the way this build actually works, other than just having the auras, it's similar to going for like a Ground Slam build, but I've actually gone and gotten the inner force buffs so that I can improve my auras a little bit further, as well as improve my speed flasks. I'm gonna get, instead of 70% increased move speed from my flask, I'll now have 100% or around that area. And for my granite flasks, of course, you get another 30% effect from those granites. And so there's a lot of benefit. You get, oh, nice, 8% weapon elemental damage. That'll be good. So I'm actually using that socketed on my glacial hammer, which I use for single target. So for the most part, I'll just Leap Slam on top of guys, take them out that way, and that seems to work out very well. But glacial hammer does a great job versus your single targets. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about how I stay alive, and I want to show you an example of the survivability of this build by showing myself doing something crazy here. Now, I want to go ahead and confess, this is not a permanent character. I actually plan on making a brand new one. Right now I'm in the default league because I am testing some stuff out. I want to see how how much I can push myself to the limits. Since I am remaking this for the 1 week race, I'm going as fast as I possibly can, 100% solo. And so far, I haven't actually died. Well, I died once, so let me take that back. I died on Cruel Piety. Again, I've been soloing everything. I forgot to equip my cold resist ring, so I went up against Piety. I was doing great, and then around 20% HP, I didn't have my cold resist ring on. She froze me, and I died. So whatever. Other than that, I have not died. So this is 100% viable for hardcore all the way up to now. And right now I'm 5 levels underneath this zone in the Pirate Cove. And so this is usually a zone you would never want to do solo, at least under level with. I only have 1800 HP. I mean, that's so crazy. But the thing that makes this build so great is that not only do you get so much life leech because you're doing giant amounts of damage from your Leap Slam, but every time you leap on top of enemies, it actually knocks them back slightly, which is a little bit of a stun onto enemies. And then on top of that, you're getting health. So right there, I'm taking a lot of damage. Those are champion Flicker Strike guys. I didn't have my endurance charges up, and that's generally how I stay alive for the most part. Luckily, I stayed alive because as soon as they started hitting me for a lot of damage, I just popped my Granite Flask. But the cool thing about this build, once again, is that you go for 5 endurance charges, and then you'll get 6 later on when you help Oak, and that keeps you at really, really high amounts of damage reduction. And then you've got lots of life leech, and then you're knocking back enemies. If you jump into a pack of enemies, they're slightly stunned for a little bit, and with enough attack speed, you're going to be good to go. You're going to be strong enough in order to actually move in and out of fights. The reason it's really strong is you don't expect it to be safe because you're jumping in the middle of enemies, but the thing is you're always moving, so there's a lot of mobility built into this. You jump in, and if you notice yourself taking damage, you just jump right back out. You're not gonna sit there and take it. And obviously you have to pay attention. You can't be stupid and just jump into the middle of a bunch of champions with extra damage and crit and expect to always stay alive. You need to preemptively pop your Granite Flask before you jump into certain mobs. Also, as you saw there, cold damage is a pretty big deal for this build. I think during this particular footage here, I didn't have my Can't Be Frozen Flask for some reason. I don't know, I was not really playing that safe. But you actually do need to have a Can't Be Frozen Flask, at least have it ready for areas that do have cold damage, so that you don't have to worry about that, because that is going to be a pretty big killer of a Leap Slam build, is getting frozen like mid-leap or as you jump in, so you can't jump away. Other than that, it's pretty damn safe and you're good to go. Just make sure you have enough resistances and keep those endurance charges up as much as possible. So let's go ahead and I'll show you the passives that I've gone for, so you can get a feel for how this build works out. I started at the Templar, and I went up through the health nodes here, gotten the increased radius as well. Instead of getting the weapon elemental damage, I actually went for the armor, since Body and Soul gives you an extra bit of elemental resistance. I do like that, and then it puts me close to the endurance charge, so I'll grab that. Grab the health, and you'll see that I did go north here, but I didn't do that until later. So when you're early levels, you want to go straight towards the actual Resolute technique, which allows you to not need all of the accuracy that most builds would need early on. I've also taken the extra dex node that's close by because you don't get a lot of dex early on with this build. I'll unspec out of that later on. Taken the extra elemental resistance there. Haven't gone all the way into the Marauder tree. I just took the resistance and the extra health and strength that you get from the early on part. I'll take the health later when I get level 70, 80 or so. I get the life leech, the extra health, the attack speed and damage from maces. I did take this agility node for now. Again, I'll unspec out of it once I get more dexterity from items and my tree later on. The berserking is great for this build. 15% attack speed is so amazing for Leap Slam. And you'll see I've actually started heading towards Iron Reflexes. But before I did that, like right after I got the attack speed, I actually went north a little bit, and I went for the Inner Force buff, which allowed me to get the increased benefit from my flasks and my auras. So that is good stuff. And the next thing that I'm going to do is go for Iron Reflexes, as well as the Can't Be Stunned, which is pretty important, especially if you're going to be going up against things like Roas. You can't be leaping in to stuff and then get stunned, and that's going to be a big problem for you. So I'll have that ready to go. I'll get the extra HP from this area right here. And eventually, once I get really high level, I'll start picking up any remaining health nodes that are close by, and I'll be good to go. So that's pretty much the build. It's fairly simple. Just take lots of health, lots of survivability. And as for the gems that I'm using, let me show those off. All of my gear right now is not the best. I actually don't have all the sockets that I will have for late game, but and then the gear I have pretty much sucks. Some of it doesn't have that much health or resistance on it. And I do have this really nice belt that I got early on, luckily, and it gives me a little bit of mana leech, which is great. And then my gloves have mana leech, so you don't need that on all of your items. You just need a little bit on at least one or two pieces. The leech that you get from Warlord's Mark is usually enough, but I like to have it on gear just in case on an enemy I don't have Warlord's Mark up yet, and that'll be good enough for now. I also have move speed boots. These boots are really terrible. I actually need some upgrades, but I just, since I'm trying to level as fast as possible, and this is a test for the speed race or for the 1 week race, I'm just doing move speed boots for now. I don't care if the stats suck, and I'm just relying again on endurance charges for my survivability. The rings are pretty basic. They have a little bit of HP on them. I'm trying to run as much magic find as possible, since I am pretty much finding all of my own items. I'm expecting that during the 1 week race, it's going to be not as many items circulating out there for high level players. You're going to have to find a lot of stuff on your own. This is the 4-link armor that I'm using for now, and I just have all of my, I think my auras and my my enduring cry in there, inside there. What you want to do for your items that you have socketed, your gems that you have socketed, is you want to have your auras obviously on reduced mana, so you're going to have hatred and haste. I do also have grace, which I'm not running yet because I don't have enough sockets to put it on the reduced mana just yet. And also I don't have iron reflexes. I don't really care about grace until I get iron reflexes. Once I do, I'll be able to run that, and those will be the 3 auras that I'll be running. If I get enough mana later on, I might be able to run a 4th one like anger or wrath or something like that, and that'll be good to go. My helmet is really terrible. It's got 69 HP, but that's actually what I've got my Leap Slam socketed into. If I had 5 sockets, I would probably socket concentrated effect on my Leap Slam, but for now I've got faster attacks, melee physical damage, added fire damage, and I've also got, I think that's it, yeah, faster attacks, Leap Slam, melee physical, and added fire, and that's all the damage that you really need. And then concentrated effect will make it do a lot of extra damage as well. And my Glacial Hammer, I've got weapon elemental damage, melee physical damage, and faster attacks, I believe. So that's pretty much it for now. So every time I jump into enemies, I will put on the Warlord's Mark. Whenever you kill them, that allows you to get your endurance charges up really easily. Also, if I'm about to run out of endurance charges before I kill something, I'll go ahead and do an Enduring Cry. So that's 2 different ways to keep your endurance charges up. It's pretty simple. And I've also got Enfeeble that I'm running as well. So if there's an enemy that I think is going to do a lot of damage to me, I'll go ahead and enfeeble them. One thing that I thought was actually going to be a problem in this build was damage reflect, but it's actually, physical reflect does nothing to me at all. The way you counter it out and stuff is just by putting Warlord's Mark, which you get the life leech from your attacks, and you have your endurance charges up, so you're taking less damage. Also, before you jump onto a pack of physical reflect, you just pop a granite flask and then jump in. You really just don't take any damage at all. Whereas with an elemental build, you're going to take a lot of damage, and there's not much you can do about it. So at least from my experience, there's not a lot you can do about it. So pretty cool. I also will be running a 4-link on probably like my helm or something like that, and I've got Molten Shell, and I plan on putting Molten Shell with I'm thinking like concentrated effect, increased duration, and something else. I don't know, it was just a new idea that I just got, and that's going to give me that extra bit of armor. It's a little bit of a pain in the butt to always cast it, but if there's going to be a hard pack of enemies, I'll probably cast the buff before I jump into them, as well as having those endurance charges, and that's going to give me as much survivability as well as a lot of extra damage, because you can get some pretty nice damage. Oh yeah, that's right, Iron Will. I was going to socket Iron Will because I've got like 400 strength, and with Iron Will, that's going to give you about 80% extra damage. Okay, here's a physical reflect pack. So I'm going to jump in. I popped my granite flask, jumped in, and you see my health really doesn't move at all. In fact, it probably goes up because I have so much life leech. And there we go. No problem at all. Don't care about your stupid damage reflect. And I know that some people have had a lot of issues with that. Not me though. And I really like this build. There's so much mobility to it. You're always running around. You're always moving. So hopefully you guys like this build. It's probably the strongest one that I've created yet. And I mean, it's 100% my own build. I did not copy anything from anyone else on forums or anything. I just came up with this idea. I was like, it's gonna be fun. I mean, obviously Leap Slam, people do Leap Slam, but I thought it was great that I'm doing it with auras, and that makes it so much stronger. So anyways, hopefully you guys can learn something from this. And I'll be, again, doing this with a duelist instead. So I'll talk about that once the race starts and I start building it up, and I'll show you guys how that works, starting from the duelist side rather than from the Templar side. And it should be really fast. I actually just beat Val at about 21 hours played in Merciless, which is a pretty good time if you ask me. At level 60, I soloed him with only like 2,300 HP. Cool thing is that you don't have to worry about getting hit by rocks, you just gotta worry about the lasers. So unfortunately I didn't actually get footage of that because I was about to record it, but apparently I was already recording, so when I hit the record key it stopped recording. I don't know, my mistake. Anyways, I'll probably make another video later. Maybe I can just run back to him and kill him again for you guys. So alright, I will see you around for the next one. If you have any questions, leave them down in the comment section below. I can probably make some more commentaries of this later on once I get to maps. And, you know, once I have enough health to actually get to maps. My items suck right now, so overall, though, I'm not having any trouble. I'm just blasting through content. I sold everything, and it's one of the most fun builds I've had just because it's so mobile. And it's just, I feel like Mario, and all the enemies are just Goombas, and I'm just stepping on them and crushing them. So, all right, see you around next time, guys. It's Kobe Cheese. Make sure you subscribe up top for all of my future Path of Exile videos, as well as the other games that I play. Peace out. Oh, is he breaking the door? Well, they can do that now?
Yeah, they
What
can.
the fuck?